Hello and welcome back to Coding with Kenny G. So this is the beginner series, and in this episode we are going to be able to rotate the turret that we are building, or gun cannon tower. So let's get started. We're going to use player input. I'm going to open up the turret scene here. So let's see where we're at. If I press play in the game scene, I'm now able to click single clicks, and then I am able to spawn a bullet like these red little balls. Currently they are spawned on top of each other, but as we get into this code here where we are able to rotate the turret here, it's going to work like this. It's going to rotate around a so-called y-axis. Remember that Unity, the y-axis is upwards, and when we rotate around an axis, we draw a circle around it, right? So we're going to rotate this guy using player input. Okay, so I'll stop play mode here, and then we're going to open up the script. So this is the turret script that we have been looking at for the last few episodes. Variables up here, some functions, we're firing the bullet, and last episode we learned a little bit about the update loop. And we managed to learn to store a variable to the input system. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we need to store another variable from the input system of Unity for movement. So I'm going to write private input action move action semicolon. That's where we're going to store the variable for movement. I'll show you in Unity how this is getting mapped. So for now, I'm just going to assign this value move action, or this variable, down in the start function below the attack action. I'm going to write move action is equal to input system dot actions dot find action, and that one is named with the string move. So it's similar to last episode where we searched in the input system for an action called attack. Now we're searching for one called move, and now I'll show you back in Unity what we're doing here. Saving the script. And then press edit up in the upper left, and then project settings. Like in the last episode, we learned to find the input system package. That's where the input stuff lives. And we found the attack command here, right? That was the last episode. That one is triggered by, well, a left mouse button click or enter on the keyboard. And here we have move. So these guys here, they are kind of given to us by default with the input system. So we are not actually writing any or touching the system, we are just using what they are giving to us. So if I open up the move command to see what is getting mapped, yes, we have a joystick, so we could use the joystick, and we can use W, A, S, and D on the keyboard as common in many games. So that's what we're gonna be using. Okay, so we have got a variable or an assignment for this value. And now I'm going to show you how that value looks like. So closing down the project settings, opening up the script again. Now that I have assigned a variable for a move action, we can get the data properties from that input action class at runtime. So in the update function, I'm gonna write debug.log of move action dot, let's see, yeah, oh, I forgot the thing. I'm just gonna delete this debug log right now, and then I'm gonna create a local variable inside of the update function, which is of vector2, type vector2, and then the variable will be named move value is equal to move action dot read value. And now there's a new thing, new programming symbol, which is the what should we call this in English? I think when I learned programming, we call them crocodile jaws or something, but okay, that's a while ago. They're basically angled brackets. So let's call them that, angled brackets. And inside of those angled brackets, like we have taught or learned so far, that very often things are within a family of two. Like the string and the parentheses, and yeah. So within the angled brackets, we're gonna write type where this is where we are assigning a data type. So a read value with a type of vector2, and that statement with opening and close parentheses and then a semicolon. So what we are doing here, this code line here, every time update runs, right, from the top down to the bottom, it's gonna read the current value this frame, as we learned a little bit about last episode, where, hey, was this action performed this frame? Well, let's write a debug.log statement below this local variable, debug.log, and inside of it we write move value dot toString, opening and close parentheses, and end with a semicolon. So every frame we're going to read what is stored inside of here. Remember that a vector2 is a variable or struct, like a data object that contains two floats. But you're gonna see it in Unity how this variable works. So I'm saving this script and then I'm going back to Unity, and now we're gonna see like a million debug log statements when we press play, right? It's gonna be a lot of them, but we are only doing it to display so that you understand what this variable actually contains and how this works. So when I press play, you're gonna see the value, I'm pausing here now, the value of the move variable when we are not holding down a button is 0.00 on the x-axis and 0.00 on the y-axis when we are not pressing a button. But now I'm gonna unpause the game, and then I'm gonna hold down the D button. So right, all right, now holding down the D button, and then we see that oops, there we go. This was when I was holding down the D button, that the X value is 1, not 0, right? Essentially what happens is that when we press or hold down the right button, D, representing the right direction, then the value is 1. And similarly, when I hold down the A button, it's actually -1 on the x-axis. And then we see similarly, if we press W, is 1 on the y-axis, and S, -1 on the y-axis. So we can use this value to actually move all sorts of things. We can use this to rotate our turret. And now I'm going to show you how we do that. We don't want to keep this debug log statement lying around in the code, because that one is crazy to run every frame, right? So I'm commenting that out. You can either write 2/ in front of the debug log statement, or press the chord Control K C in Visual Studio with the line selected. Okay, so now we're gonna try to rotate this guy. I'm gonna have to write some code here, and then I'll try to explain to you afterwards what's happening. First of all, I'm scrolling up. We're gonna need another variable. I've actually already written it, but I'll delete it so that you kind of understand what I do. Public float rotation speed is equal to 10f. So I don't know if this value is correct, but we're gonna need to use this when we are rotating our turret. And then down in the update function, we have to write code in order to actually rotate the turret. So I'm gonna write transform dot rotate with a capital R, because it's a function call, and then it's gonna ask us for Euler angles. We're only going to rotate around the y-axis, so let's see. We're gonna write okay, just to be clean, I'm gonna write this outside of the transform dot rotate call. I'm gonna write a local variable called vector3 rotation value is equal to new vector3, and inside of a closing and opening parentheses, we're gonna give values to all 3 dimensions of this vector3. So we're not gonna rotate on the x-axis, so that will be 0f. But on the y-axis we are going to rotate, so we're going to give that a value of move value dot x, because we want to rotate using the left and right buttons, so A and D. So and that's stored in the x value in the move value variable. So I'm going to write move value dot x, and then comma, and then 0f on the z axis. So essentially we're only trying to give a value to the y axis. Then down below I'm going to write transform dot rotate with capital R, and then we're sending in the rotation value, so the local variable above, and then we're going to have to do 2 special things. We're going to have to multiply this value by rotation speed, and then we have to multiply that by a special thing in Unity called time dot delta time. There we go. I'm gonna have to try to explain all of this properly, but so I'm gonna return to the code and explain the things that are happening here. But first I want to see if this works. Excuse me, just a quick drink here. There we go. So saving the script. Then I'm going to go back to Unity, let the code compile, clear the console, and we're going to watch the game window here. I'm going to press play. And now that I hold D, we see that we are rotating towards the right, and when I hold A, we are rotating towards the left in our kind of perspective, right? We are looking at this from above. I think it's a little bit slow, this rotation value. So how about we set that to 30? We can tweak this variable in play mode, tweak it during play mode, but it'll reset to the value it was at once we end play mode. So we can find a value that feels good. I actually want it a little bit faster. How about 50? There we go. 50 feels a little bit better, right? And then now you can see that I can click, and then we are creating a little bit of a half circle here around the turret. So now we are getting somewhere in terms of making this look a little bit more interesting and getting some interactivity going. But I think I'll need to try to explain the code to you now. First, before I go into the code, if you remember from a few episodes before, if we want to edit a value that is in a prefab, we don't want to edit it directly in the scene view. We want to open up the prefab in edit prefab mode. We can click that little arrow here, and then I can set the rotation speed variable here to 50, and then this will be applied to all clones, or in the prefab itself, which is good. So I'm exiting the turret prefab, and then this value will now be the default when using the prefab, 50. Okay, so let's try to explain this code. It's a little bit tricky, right? But that's how it is. Okay, so first of all, I think you caught on that we are storing these input variables now, right? So we're only going to focus on the rotation code itself and how to get values from the input system. So first of all, every frame we are running the update loop. So it's running the entire thing, right? Every frame, very fast. We are fetching the value, we call it the move value, from the stored variable called move action, right? So every frame we are reading the current value of that variable this frame, which is the value is set when we hold down a button. W, A, S, and D in this case, right? We can also use actually a gamepad and use a joystick and it'll work. So we are getting that value each frame. And then I'm making a local variable here of the type vector3. Vector3 contains 3 floats. So it's like a data object that contains 3 floats. And in this case, this represents, well, how we want to rotate our turret, right? We do not want to rotate it on the x-axis, so we give that a value of 0. We're not modifying that value at all during play, right? We only want to fetch the x value of move value. Remember that when we press A and D on the keyboard during play, it's the x value. So vector2 contains an x and a y, right? We only are interested in the x value. So we are assigning to the y component of this rotation value the value of move value.x. Oh man, value inception. And then at the z index, we're not interested in rotating around the z-axis, so we give that a value of 0. Then here below, we are calling transform. First of all, every single script in Unity, I'm gonna scroll upstairs all the way to the top. If it inherits from mono behavior here, that means that this class by default has access to certain components that Unity give us. The transform is the component of I'll go back to Unity and show you. Every single game object that exists in the scene view will have a transform component on it. This is the component holding the position, rotation, and scale. So every single, no matter what type of game object, will always have a transform. Therefore, we can talk directly to a variable called transform, which means it's the transform of the game object that this script is assigned to. If I go back to Unity and I select the turret here, you see that the turret is assigned to the game object called turret, like the top parent of all of these child objects below. Remember from the episode where we set up this turret prefab with child objects below it? Well, this game object, right? I can fetch this component right here called transform. And that's what we're doing here. So transform. And then Unity gives us a few methods and functions that we can use. So transform dot rotate. Rotate, that's a function given to us by Unity, so that we can rotate this this transform that we are applying to here. And what we're doing here is that we are this rotation value right here. Rotation value will have a value of 0 on the X and the Z, and on the Y axis, depending on if we press the A and D buttons down or not, will have a value of either 0, 1, or -1. So we can take that value and then we are multiplying that value with a speed. So we set up a variable called rotation speed. This is the easiest way to make something tweakable, so that we can adjust how fast a thing is moving or rotating or stuff like that. And then we have to, whenever we are moving or rotating game objects in the update loop, we should multiply the movement code with a variable in Unity with a special variable called time.delta_time. Essentially what this code does is make the movement frame rate independent, so that it smoothens out the movement over time. Yeah, this is a little bit complicated to try to teach a beginner, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. But just try to, for now, try to remember that every time we move an object or rotate an object, we need to apply time.delta_time to it. We're gonna see several more examples of this during this beginner series. So this is what makes the turret rotate around its Y axis. Pretty cool, huh? All right. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you are learning, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.